Good morning. Last couple of episodes of my sharings, one dealt with the future and one dealt with the past. And neither of these are my preferred focus. Learn from the past, learn from the future, but do my best to remain in the present. So it's only fitting that in my new numbering system, 33 plus, my magic number of 33, the number that represents completion to me. It's only appropriate, apropos, that I talk about something that's really important to me. And actually I'll talk about two things: remaining in the now, because after all, we don't have anything else. Just ask yourself the simple question: where's the past? Where's the future? Whereas here's the now. And as soon as I said that, of course, it's relegated to the past. So maybe it's the pause between an utterance and the consideration of the one to follow. It's that pause that we really only have the moment. The pause between breaths. The pause between heartbeats. Sometimes I take an artistic license, don't I? Make up breaths, make up my own words. And at the same time, sometimes my mispronunciation, my misspeak of words is part of my creative process. Try to fool myself that way. But as I'm a perfectionist, I'm really not content with misspeaks. But here we are in the present. So I wanted to talk about that. And I wanted to continue in the same vein as the echoes from the future and echoes from the past. Talking about process. My process, because that's the only one that I'm able to share. I don't know your process. I don't know anyone else's process but my own. So that's what I share. This is what it's been all about. Sharing how I take information, knowledge, and accumulate them, reflect on them, inspired by them, so that they become wisdom. That's the real goal here. So this process, today I want to talk about the now, the moment, and in particular, transforming chaos into order. Looking for, searching for, finding patterns. Building systems, deconstructing systems, dissecting systems to find out where they might have a weakness, looking for substitutes for strength. It's a little different than preparing a logical argument, because although I respect logic as part of the process, it's overshadowed for me by intuition, feeling rather than sensing, rather than just looking at my direct experience with the world. I instead tend to examine how it feels, how I feel about it. And chaos is disconcerting to most people. And by all rights, it should be disconcerting to me, because I'm always trying to go to the other side, find order. But rather than seeing this as a daunting task, quite the opposite. It's very entertaining. Just the exercise of the process of looking for patterns is not only reassuring to me, but it's also entertaining. It's what I do. And this process is constant. There's no pausing except when the now interjects itself. So it's ponder, 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 breathe, ponder, 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 ponder. And thank goodness for that pause between breaths, that pause between words, and the recognition that a lot of times in that pause, between words, between heartbeats, between breaths, is reality. And if you but just listen, that pregnant pause, so to speak, gives birth to new potential pearls of wisdom. When you remember that we can never truly experience the world outside of us. When I see something, I see the picture behind my back, the two pictures behind my back. But this sight is really inside of me. We forget that only within can we witness anything. This holds true for all the senses as well. But the key is, the liberation is, the freedom comes. The ability, the opportunity to experience the outside, to witness the outside, comes through this process of recognizing that it's within, and an expansion can take place. Supra senses, abilities beyond how we define our sensory input, to go within, to experience the without. And the nature of things is that our senses, our experiences, have to accumulate a lot of, well, ultimately energy, because there's truly nothing else besides light, which is compassion, love, peace, bliss, clarity, equanimity. So the absorption, we should be like sponges. And remember that we have to drop our judgment. We just don't spend our time absorbing what we consider to be the good and try to downplay or ignore the other side, the bad or even the evil. That's just as much a part of our illusory experience. And we've mentioned before, just because it's illusion, just because it's Maya, does not mean that as long as we're in this human body, we can choose to ignore them. As the non-dualists say, the true condition of everything is nothingness. And we can know that at the same time of accepting our responsibility to participate in the illusion. As long as we have this body, and then we get to practice not feeling personally involved because the person is gone. The person that we look at as us is gone. But remember, some personality remains. Or all of our personality remains. So this is a constant challenge to practice and be alert and diligent. Recognize where you're not living up to your self-imposed standards. Recognize, learn, forgive, and move on. There's no forgetting. It's not forgive and forget. The echoes of remembering. If you simply forgot, it opens the window of opportunity, so to speak, to experience it again until you've learned what you needed to learn. So these situations that come to us are opportunities to learn. And as I'm sharing this, my intention is to share the process that I continually am involved in, looking for order in chaos. Now, there's times when I can be very content with embracing chaos and experiencing it unfiltered, but using my mind, my gift, my tool to examine, to sort and file, and construct a system. And as I construct this system, there's nothing sacred about that construction. It doesn't become a belief. When you believe anything, you better take a look at it, because belief ignores the possibility of wrongness. You could be totally wrong in your beliefs, and as a consequence, be blind to reason, be blind to new information, be blind to examination. So, constructing a system, willingness to deconstruct the system, not being vested in the system, looking to constantly connect. It's connection that's keen. This experience, this thought, that feeling. Connecting, looking for commonalities. Ever since I read recently about constructing a web, as a spider does, and webs, if you really look at them, are incredibly complex and beautiful, but through the connections is the strength. Not only strength, but the connections allow you to catch, instead of flies, like our spiders do, or connect is to catch information. And as soon as it's collected, it needs to be sorted. At least my mind, my tool. That's how I keep the mind from degenerating to the monkey mind with just random firing noises that are very disruptive. They're the antithesis of order. So from chaos, sorting, to order, understanding that there's nothing sacred about the construct that you saw as orderly. Because just as chaos can be sorted and systemized into order, that order is temporary. All it takes is, here to use an analogy of the web again, throw a rock through the web, brush against the web, and boy, what do we have? Chaos again. And isn't that how it should be? How can it be any other way? The process of chaos to order, with the understanding that order can all too easily become chaos. Because, of course, chaos and order ultimately are one and the same. But it's the experience of creating this order rather than the tangibility of order. This is not an accomplishment. It's a continual process with the understanding that at any moment it can hurl back into chaos, only to begin again to look for a system, to systematically build a system that seems to be useful and constructive. But it's a way to use my mind as the tool, as I believe it's intended to be used. To divert it from digression to the monkey mind with just noise and sound bits and nonsense. So in this process, I see no room for the egoic structure. Ego comes in when it becomes a belief. So I've never really cared too much about sharing this order in the hopes of finding converts, building a belief system. Absolutely not. All I like to share is this process. We each have our own. We each can end up with certainly different conclusions. Although for me, there never is a conclusion. This is an ongoing, continual process. So I start by looking at patterns. Look for patterns. This is how I'm able to wrap my mind around the immensity of the chaos. So even the words chaos and order are artificial impositions on my part. One man's order could be another man's chaos. But it's the process. It's keeping your mind elastic. Rigidity is an enemy. Rigidity, as we age, we can't move as well. So I'm willing to accept the ravages of age on the body, but there is no ravages of the mind. As long as you keep it exercising and flexible, even when the body has given up on you, like Stephen Hawking in a wheelchair with no use of the body. The mind was incredible. And that's why I think it's not only the most valuable tool, but ultimately, in all probability, the only tool of lasting import in the physical experience, the physical realm. This is what we have. And what do I get from this constant effort of building, tearing down, reconstructing, restructuring? What do I get from that? This is my process. And it keeps the mind busy. This is the work that I gave the mind so that my heart could do its real work. So why the mind can put on almost this process for me of chaos to order doesn't take much effort. It doesn't distract me from breathing in, breathing out, being in the moment. So the mind is free to listen to the past, listen to the future, and build. From this, it's a liberation for my mind. It's doing its job. My mind is doing the job that my mind was intended to do. And from knowing this, I have experienced one epiphany after another, one moment, one glimpse after another, because there's no interference. My mind is not interfering with the process of discovery. It's busy building systems, accumulating more information to link and connect. It's this connectedness, this continual finding, evaluating, putting in order. And this is my silence. This is my way of silencing the mind. It's not about, for me, it's never been about a vacuum. That the mind has been somehow conquered. It's never about that. but simply enjoying the task. My mind enjoys the task of building, not attaching, so that deconstruction, to restructure, rebuild, is part of the process, just as valid as constructing. This assignment of jobs, assigning this task to my mind, allows me to first and foremost maintain my equanimity, maintain that state, while glimpsing bouts of clarity, bouts of silence, bouts of bliss. So from a constant state, I'm able to appreciate when these bouts occur. It's not about seeking. It's not about straining to reach them. It's accepting the elusive and unpredictability of their occurrence. Meanwhile, my mind does its work. My heart is able to separate from the mind's work and do what it does best. Find commonality, recognizing the divine within everyone and everything. This is what the heart does. From the heart springs compassion. The mind sucks in, the heart sends out. They operate in tandem without interfering with each other. This is the key for me, not eliminating one and stressing the other, but letting both coexist without confusion. Each has its own arena, and they make each other possible. So it's never been about elimination. It's been about acceptance.